Hiya guys, and welcome back to Wade's Workshop. So where are we? At the end of the last episode we pretty much finished blocking up the two little clamps. I think it's time we got on with it and finished them off. So I put the shorter one of the two up in the vise and I've just skimmed it across. I cleaned it up, then switched from the column to the quill, and I've just done a 0.1 cut across with the quill and set a 0. So I'll take the quill back up now, and it's gone up 2mm, so that should be more than enough to clear the next part. Right, we can take this one back out of the vise. Let's just give myself a bit of space. Put the machine side down. Again, holding it against the 1, 2, 3 block. Tighten the vise up. Nip the vise. And we'll run a pass across that, see where we are. So should be clear at this point. Just okay. So I need to wind down. Let's go 1/2 mil at a time. I'm still getting the hang of which way to turn things. Yeah. There's 1 more mil to come off. At least 0.5. Just about cleaned up. There wasn't actually that much difference in the two parts. Leave 0.1 to come off. Just cleaned up, and if I take the final 0.1, there we go. I'm just adjusting the quill down to the 0, which is what I set when I finished cutting the first one. So that should leave the two parts equal length. Okay, and that's the two parts basically blocked up to the largest dimensions. Yeah, I'm keeping a file here, basically just deburring as I go. Only a break edge. There's going to be all sorts of features going on these when I've finished. They're not going to look dissimilar to the small clamps, you know, this style, but the small ones, as far as the nose of it is concerned. But it's going to have a built-in heel, so there's no messing about with packing blocks and what have you. So yeah, that's my thought. And then I think rather than use a stud with a nut on the top, I'm going to use an M10 cap head, and then do a counterbore for the cap head so that I can lower the overall height of it to below the bed line of the vise, so they won't obstruct anything. Yeah, and that'll be then a decent set of clamps for this vise. So going forward, I can make and design and make the clamp down for the other vise. So there we are, that's 2 blocks all blocked up, ready to roll. So more features to go on them yet. Away to go. Looking at the way the lighting's working with the camera on that angle, and even though it's quite bright, it actually works quite well. I'm going to make myself, when I've got these clamps on, a couple of pads out of that leather material that I had, or faux leather material that I had, that will sit over the table to, you know, stop my T-slots getting full of muck and all the rest of it. But yeah, that's another story. Okay, so I've got my block in the vise, tapped down on a couple of my new parallels. I can't quite get the back one against the fixed jaw because of the clamps again, hence why I'm doing this project. I've marked a line 10mm in here, just a bit of Sharpie and a scribed a line. The shape of my tool, it's got about 8 degrees underneath. It's got a sort of 30-degree angle, and then it's got about 8 degrees backing off on this top face. So that will give me, if I cut this area away, it'll give me a sort of gusset in the corner, which, yeah, I think that'll be useful. So I'm going to come over with my table, sort of, yeah, I literally want to, I mean, it's not a critical dimension, this, but I'm just eyeballing it. Make sure that tool's square. That's it. There, I think will do me. So I'm going to lock my table there, or my saddle. That's locked. So that's a fixed position. I can use the same setting for the next block. Okay. I brought my head down to almost touch, and I've locked the head in position, and I'm going to use the quill to feed down my 10mm. So, yeah, we are clear. I keep going to push the stop button instead of the start button. I don't know why that is. I mean, they're red and green, but anyway. I've been running at about 1100. I mean, the tool seems to have coped with it well with all the roughing out. So, I'll just wind down on the quill to touch. There we go. Set to 0. And again, not fussy. I want to come down, yeah, 10mm is fine. You know, a nominal 10. Right, okay. So, I'm going to go maybe, let's try 0.3, see what that does. Okay. Yeah, I'll keep going in 0.3 increments, I think. Maybe 0.5 increments. That's 0.7. I'm just going to be cutting on the 3 faces of the cutter once I get into depth. So I may back off away from the face and then work my way back into it at a later date. We'll see how it copes. Right, that's 1 mil depth. 1 mil overall, that is. It's cutting using the angle now, it's starting to come into effect. No need for me to run right back off the other edge at this point. Okay, so that's 1.5. This is a 0.5 cut. Okay. Of course, if I'd wanted a radius in that corner, I could have dressed a radius on the leading edge of the tool, and it would have given me a radius. So I may, as we go forward, start grinding up different tool bits to go in the fly cutter. It's only got a 12mm shank on this fly cutter. I think I'll probably, when I make another one, I'm just going to stop the cutter on the job here, just to check my alignment with the leading edge. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's okay, yeah. I started the cutter with it running flat out. Okay, another 0.5 then. So we're down to 2.5 mil now. Just intersecting that line now. That's 3. I could probably take far deeper cuts, but well, let's let things settle down a little before I get carried away. And of course the machine isn't bolted to the table yet. So yeah, I'm up to 4 mil now. I'll bring you back when we're somewhere near. So you can see where I am so far. I decided, slight change of plan, to leave a bit of meat in here. I've gone 7.5 mil deep. I'm just going to machine the last 10 millimeters. In fact, I think I'll do the last 12 millimeters. So bear with me 2 seconds. I'm going to just readjust. I touched on the outside, wound in 10 on my dial. So 10, that's 11, 12. Okay, I come in the last 12 millimeters. The depth of the slot in the side of the vise is about 8. But allowing for the little chamfer, yeah, I'll come in 12 mil. Right, okay. So I can start up again now. It should touch off at around 7.5, which is where I got, which is there. Oh yeah, I wasn't bad. Okay, come back off, and I'll take the last 2.5 mil off the end, just the end alone. So right, that's 8. So 2 mil to go. 8.5. The beauty of using a fly cutter is it doesn't cost you anything. It's a piece of tool steel, a piece of high-speed steel. You can regrind it as many times as you want to. You know, regrind it to the shape you want, show it the oil stone, give it a bit of honing, and you're pretty much there. Without, you know, getting through expensive milling cutters. So I try and avoid, whenever I can, using high-speed steel milling cutters. Obviously there's times when you've got to. Where are we? 9.5, okay. I've just run that right across. So I'll go 9.9 and then do a 0.1 finish. There we go. 9.9. Yeah, so tool steel works out a very cheap cutting tool in relation to you know, what it would cost you in milling cutters over time. You just have a quick measure, stop the cutter. Yeah, I've got 8mm of parallel there. I think I could do with a bit more. I'm going to come and I'm going to feed back in this way another 2mm. So I'm going to come back up to my 7.5 and I'm just going to re-hit that with another 2mm. So I'll just loosen the carriage off. Right, that's 1 on the dial, 1.52. A long time since I've had to use dials as opposed to a DRO. Okay, I must get into the habit of slowing the speed right down before I start it up. Okay, so I know I can come into 8mm depth, so that's 0.5mm cut on that very top there probably. No. There it's touching now. Right, 8.6, so I've got a 9. I'm just bringing the sloping edge further back so that I've got more parallel edge at the bottom. So 9.5. .9 again where I was last time. Yeah, it's just scratching that bottom face now. Okay. Come back off. And 10mm. And there we are. So I'll leave the table set there now. I'll take 10mm off, basically replicate this cut on the next part exactly, then come back up to my 0, come back to a 10 and machine the next one down to my original datum. And I do know how many turns of the handle I've done, so I don't need to mark any lines. So yeah, we got 2 of them, and they basically, as you can see, they've got that sort of vertical face angle, the flat face angle, and the flat face again. I need to deburr these, and they're basically going to sit in the side of the vise like this. I'm going to drill them somewhere in here for an M10 and then counterbore for an M10 cap head, hence why I've left a bit more meat in this area, with a view to being able to get the cap head sort of, you know, more sunk in. I don't know how far it'll go in. I haven't got an M10 cap head here to try. But yeah, so when it's bolted down, they're going to be low profile and below the level of the vise, so they won't be getting in the way so much. Yeah, and as I said, there's 2 of them. They both need deburring. I probably will chamfer the top edge and the front edges. Probably put some nice 45s everywhere, and then they'll be chemically blackened or blued or whatever you want to call it, and there'll be the 2 dedicated clamps for this vise. I may make some more of them at some point or another, but at least I've got something to go on, and it was a nice little first job, I think. Well, here we are, guys, the first cuts, and we've started a little project already. I celebrated by bringing out the favourite old green holy jumper, especially for this episode. Those of you that have watched me for a long time will have been looking at this jumper for a long time as well. And those of you that are new, well, there's plenty of life in it yet, isn't there? Oh, I need to drill the 2 holes for the clamp down bolts for the cap heads. So, okay, let's fire her up. Got the wobble pin up in the collet chuck. I want to touch on this back edge, and the hole is going to be 30mm across. So let's just bring the wobble pin in till it kicks off. A bit faster than that, I think. There we go. Come on. There we go. Okay, so the wobble pin is 2.5mm diameter. So I need to zero my dial there. Cool, when was the last time I worked on dials? Right, so I need to bring the table this way by 1.25mm, so I'll do that first. 0.5, 1, 1.25. Re-zero the dial. Now this machine, it's 3mm per revolution, so I'm going to need to do 10 turns of the hand wheel to bring it over. So yeah, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exactly back to zero. Right, so I'll now lock the table there, so it's locked in this direction. In the ideal world, I would have a DRO and I'd be able to just set a 0 and then I can move away and come back, but I can't do that. I'm going to have to pick up on the edge of the vise, I think, so not to worry, I can do that as well. Just give that a bit of a, what's it, bring it down to almost touch. Yeah, that'll do. That's pretty much why I'm not using a ball-edged one. Okay, start her up. There we go. Zero my dial. Let's just turn her off. Okay, so opposite way round this time. I need to go back this way to get my center point of the outside. So again, my 1.25mm, so that's 0.5, 1, 1.25mm. And I'll just zero my dial. Okay, now these blocks are 24.5mm wide, so for the center of this one I need to go 12.25mm. So that's 4 turns, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 turns, that's 12mm, 12.25, which is there. And lock the table. Okay, so, oh, I don't know. Ah, there we go. Again, it's not doing anything. I didn't need to lock the collet up for the wobble pin. So I'm now on the center point of the first hole, and the next one I'll have to wind across 24.5mm for the center point of the other one. Yeah, it was just easier to do them in a pair the way the parallels work out at the moment. If I wanted to put one in at a time, these bolts are in the way for the parallels. You know the story, that's why we're making these. Right, just set up the collets and drills that I need, and I have got, where are we, a center drill up in the collet at the moment. I was going to swap over to a drill chuck to make it quicker, but I don't want to run my countersinking bit for M10 in the drill chuck particularly. I'd rather use that in a collet, so that's why I've just stuck with the collet setup. So, right, okay, well the head's locked. There we are. Let's have a go. I've run out of travel on my quill. It's only 50mm. Let's just bring the head down a bit. Okay, that would be enough. Okay, center drilled. So we'll swap over to the drill now. So I've got the same quality, and I've used the same size drill as the centre drill, just as a starter. The cutting compound. My parallel isn't in the way. I'm shattering. What's that from? Table's all locked. Everything's locked. Okay, there's my brush. Right, it's gone through into the hollow underneath. I think that drill was blunt. I think that's probably the issue with it. I should have checked it first, I know. Okay, so swap over to, I think I'll go straight for a 10.5 drill now. I was going to go 10, then 10.5, but yeah, go on, I will. I'll put the 10 in first and then the 10.5. Okay. That's a better drill. And that's that through. And then swap to the 10.5. There's a bit of a slow way of doing it. I know a drill chuck could be a lot quicker. But oh dear me. Didn't want the drill dropping out. Yeah, I mean the pilot on the counterborne bit, I have marked them all up on the boxes, is 10.3. Yeah, I don't need to go that tight. So yeah, I'm going to have a 10.5 hole. More than enough, you know, a little bit more clearance won't hurt at all. So, yep, next hole. Oops. And that's the 10.5. out with the drill. And finally, yep, that'll go in there nicely. So the material here is 12.5 mil thick. Because I didn't take, I only cut, it's 20 mil overall, and it's only got 7.5 taken off, so it's 12.5 mil. My question to myself, how deep do I want to do the counterbore? I hadn't thought about this until now. Right, so if it's 12.5 material, I want to leave about 4 mil, maybe, for the bolt to pull on. So if I went 8.5 mil deep, it's pretty much where I want to be. So yeah, 8.5 mil deep is my target. So I'll try and do it with a quill. Yeah, I'll try and do it with a quill instead of using the sort of drill function. I'll wind it down gradually with a quill. So yeah, fire it back up again. I don't know what speed you run this at. Yeah. Seems to like that speed. Okay. Get a touch off, set a 0. There's a touch. So what did we say? 8.5. We'll leave 4 mil in the bottom. Now I can tell my mill isn't bolted down. I can feel it wobbling. I don't know if that... I don't know if the... I'm going to check this 8.5. I'm not sure if the tool isn't, if the cutter isn't slipping back in the collet. Well, that's the 2 holes done and counterbored in the blocks. Yeah, so next thing to do is a couple of champers on the front, champers on the top, and generally champer all the way round. I need to get myself an inch champering bit or something like that. Put it on my shopping list. I'm going to write a note of it while I remember. But yeah, they're coming along nicely. So I've set my block up at an angle that looks right. Come down with the cutter, touched on the top corner, and I'm just doing a finishing cut at 0.1 millimeter, and I've taken 3 millimeters off it from touch off. So I'll just wind off. Okay. Oh, okay. So I set it up at an angle that looks right. Let me stop that cutter. What I'm going to do is get my protractor off the bed and just set the protractor at that angle, and then put the next part in at the same angle. So we shall do that next. Yeah, I've just preset the protractor. Bring it in across the edge here. Set the part up to the same angle. Just nip the vise. And yeah, for what it is, it's a clearance. It's not doing anything. It doesn't even need to be there. It doesn't need a clearance, but it's just to make it look nice. So yeah, I'll wind my cutter back off, come back across, touch off on the top, take 3mm, and it should replicate the angle I put on the end of that one. And I'm going to do something similar on the two outside edges as well. Yeah, I'll sort of get an angle that looks about right, touch off, intersect that point, and I'll do the same thing with the protractor from the other side and do exactly the same. So I'll probably show you the finishing passes of that. I was about to start filing chamfers on these blocks, and then I decided, well, I'm going to be looking at these for a long time, hopefully. So my thinking is I'll just machine some chamfers on. So I'm putting a 1mm chamfer on every edge. Of course, the beauty of the fly cutter is that you can go across the entire edge with one pass. And it's going to be a lot quicker than fly cutting it, filing it, sorry. Yeah, I just set it up 45-degree angle end for end in there, and that should be final cut. There we are. So I'm going to go around all possible edges that I can do with this method. Obviously I'm going to have a problem doing these double angled corners, but yeah, I can file those on, that's not a problem. In fact, I think I'm going to put a radius on those. So I'm going to go around to the other side, do the sides on the back. Can't do the undersides with a fly cutter. I could if I put a milling cutter up. But yeah, I mean, there's just one way of doing it, but you can see, quick, simple chamfer. Here's the little clamps as they stand at the moment. I've done quite a bit of chamfering on them on all the edges. I actually machined the 45s on them with the edge of the fly cutter, the 45-degree angle on the corner of the fly cutter. Yeah, so they've got sort of chamfers everywhere you look. Quite pleased with those. But having done those, they don't quite look right to me. I'm thinking that we should have a bit of backing off, not a great deal, something similar to the front, but a bit of backing off on the back, so that swarf doesn't sit on top of them and it'll roll off, and maybe coolant, things like that, doesn't sit on top. You know, just to give the swarf some way to run away. So I think we'll have a bit of an angle on the back edge, so we'll set up for that now. So just put the fly cutter back up, and we'll tighten up the collet chuck. There we go. I'm going to go mad. I'm not putting stupid amounts of load on it. It's not likely to slip. So, oh dear, what have I got locked? Got the saddle locked. And the column, bring it down. Let's come to a touch off. Yeah, about there, I'd say. Okay, so I think we're going to have to plug the machine in. That's always a good place to start. It goes a lot better that way. And start her up. Let's just get a touch off. There we go. To the middle, just come off the job. And again, you've seen me do this before, very recently, in fact, on one of the previous videos. Yeah, I'm just going to come down, say, I don't know, 0.2, maybe 0.5 millimeters at a time, something like that, and just chase across the face. But I don't recall if I tightened the vise. I did. Just checking. So yeah, I'm just going to run a series of cuts over here. I'll see what it looks like. I may adjust the angle. Can you see the cut going on there? Yes, of course you can. Just had to duck back behind the camera to have a look at the screen. probably go to within about, I don't know, 10 mil or so of the hole. What am I doing? 850 RPM. Seems to cope with that. Having watched a bit of the previous video, on camera this sounds like it's really knocky, like it's really banging with the fly cutter as it cuts across. I think that's the sort of sound effects in the shed here. It's probably quieter than my voice as I'm speaking, hence you can hear me over the noise of it, but it does sound a lot worse than it actually is. It's not sort of beating up the head as it were, and although it does, well, I thought it does sound a little bit like that way. A bit more, I think. I'm going to keep the camera running, guys, because I should be able to put the chamfers on with this setup as it is. Yeah, keep going. Couple more cuts. Well, yeah, one more. Just chase it off the back. Not touching. I've had a lot of suggestions on the last few videos on different ways to do things, things I need to get, things I need to do. And I've taken note, and thank you for all your comments. And yeah, there's several great things I can do. But bear in mind, this is the first sort of little setup of the mill. Just want to get it in use really, and then you know what it's like, as you use things you get to know what you could do with, what mods you could make and what have you. But yeah, the list is endless. So I've just machined the top angle off. I want to put a chamfer on the side in this plane. The edge of the cutter is at a 45-degree approach angle, and as you can see, well, when I say 45 it's about 40 degrees, but I can just, while I'm set up in this plane, I can just wind the table back towards myself, or the carriage, the saddle back towards myself, and just put a little chamfer on the edge of there until it blends into the depth of the other two chamfers. Just a tiny bit more, I think. There we go. That's the chamfers on that one. And I think they look better now with the chamfers on the back. So let's just get one of the bolts. I have got some bolts and cut them to the correct length. So they're going to sit in there. Let me just get myself out of the way of that cutter a minute. You can see the idea. And the clamp screw goes in there. Another one on the other side, identical. And that is the little clamps. Right, I think now I'm going to blacken them, or chemical blue them. I'll probably give them a polish up over all the edges with a bit of Scotch-Brite and what have you. Give them all a polish up, degrease them, chemical blue them, and then they're ready to be put to use, I suppose. So yeah, as I said, I blackened the clamps, polished them all up, cleaned them, blackened them. Yeah, I've got the two clamps in place now and they look brilliant. I'll just bring you around the other side. And there's the one on the other side. I have got, you probably noticed, a bit of that PVC stuff, the faux leather stuff. Just threw a piece on there. I'm fed up of cleaning T-slots already, and I also knocked myself up a little T-slot cleaner for cleaning the T-slots out. So happy days! So there we are, guys. That's the clamp blocks finished for the first vise. So now that I've got the clamp blocks for the first vise fitted, I can now start making the hold downs or clamp blocks for the real vise using the first vise. So that'll be to come in the future. Right, okay, we got that out of the way. It's all getting a bit confusing, too many vices. Story of my life, really. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you all soon. Cheers now.